Okay, I wanted to make a video to speak my piece. As a lot of you already know, I was kicked out of Michele Knight's Psychic Knight's website, which is advertised to be a social networking site. It's advertised to be, as she phrases it, or as it's phrased on her site, like Facebook for the soul. There are so many differences between how Facebook is run and how Psychic Nights is run. That is an entirely different video. And I may be making a series of videos about Michele Knight and her site. I haven't decided yet. But the thing is, I wanted to make it clear. I had started a discussion that was, the title was something like Depth of Understanding. The idea that there are a lot of shallow practices in New Age, and there are some that are worthy and deep. And that a lot of people were jumping on the bandwagons of these crazy new ideas. And there is a movement inside of New Age, and I don't know if I wouldn't call myself New Age, but I can appreciate this movement that says we don't want New Age to turn into this shallow kind of tawdry, self-aggrandizing belief system that a lot of people say that it is, and I think a lot of it actually is. And that was the whole point, that there, I wanted to present the idea that there are rules of evidence, so that if there's a concept that comes out, like quantum jumping or fairies or whatever, so either anything that ancient and or new, there are rules of evidence that you can test it with. There are ways to look at things. This offended some people. Ultimately, my point was, there are means to find what truth is. Because I'm a seeker of truth. I have been all my life. Now, the problem was that some of these people became so outraged because, I was called a lawyer and everything else because, first of all, I was attacked. I was told I don't even have the right to ask the question. I don't even have a right to present the concept of facts or rules of evidence. This is all spiritual stuff, and it's whatever you want to think. Well, a lot of you know my personal position on that. It's called relativism, and it's a problem. That anybody's idea is as good as anyone else's. That's not true. Quite frankly, I don't think Hitler's ideas were as good as Gandhi's ideas. Then again, I don't think that Gandhi's ideas were as good as Martin Luther King's ideas. The point is, to expect in the realm of intelligent dialogue, which is what a discussion is supposed to be, an exchange of ideas, and some will even use the term debate, I don't know. But the point was, I was attacked for wanting to present reason into this field. And when I basically made the point, this isn't about me or attacking me or the point. This is, show me some ideas. You keep coming at me and complaining about me. What about what I'm presenting? And there were enough complaints because either people didn't understand or people just felt threatened. My God, if I believe in fairies and this guy wants proof, what might that do to my idea? Well, there's a lot of different ways of looking at it. It depends on how you approach the idea. But the point is, there are rules of evidence that can be used. And just because I am putting forth the idea of rules of evidence and understanding a fact, that doesn't mean that you don't have a right to believe what you want. But that's how it was interpreted. And when people started to complain, I said, well, it's not my fault that you're upset. Let me give an example. If you believe 2 + 2 = 5, and I show you logically and mathematically how 2 + 2 = 4, and you become outraged, Did I insult you? No. But that is basically what happened. I talked about rules of evidence. I talked about how to find clarity of mind and of knowledge. And that was too much for some people to handle. They became outraged. And when it got to the point of a decision maker on a site that's supposed to be about being psychic and being spiritual, did they side with the person who was seeking truth, the person who wanted to actually do the intellectual heavy lifting and the hard work to define what truth is? No. They went with the people who believe in fairies. They went with the people whose argument was, we don't need to have a method. We can believe whatever we want and call it true, with no support whatsoever. Now, this really, really, really bothers me, Michele, because as a spiritualist, you of all people should be more concerned with truth than anything else. But I also understand that that you have more product to sell if you don't have to find a rational basis for it. You can sell information or just talk about and just popularize ideas like quantum jumping or any damn foolishness that's out there. And you know, I'd asked about quantum jumping in Facebook, and you said that you could debate me on it, but you didn't feel the need to. I asked you about it on Psychic Nights, and you just ignored the post. I don't think that you can debate me on it, because I don't think that you are up to it. And that's a debate for a later time. My point is, spiritualism is about truth. But by kicking me off of your site and siding with the people who are for the position of we want to believe things that have no basis or no grounding. We don't want there to be a method to delineate what has clarity and support versus what doesn't. What you've done in essence is show that you're about marketing over truth, because these are the people that can be marketed to. I'm also suspicious of the fact that while everybody is, well, not everybody, there are quite a few people who were very interested in the discussion. And that's the way it is. When the discussion gets to a certain level, when it elevates to a certain point, some people may not have the the education or interest. And I'm not being elitist. Some people just aren't interested in thinking too hard. But the problem is, those people then should just say, I'm not interested, and drop out. I didn't force anyone to that discussion. And there were people who did step up to the plate and did, and I commended those people who did. I said, great, I love your attitude. You're bringing something to this. So, as I see now, and I don't really know where I go from here. I mean, I'm seeing you more for what you are. Psychic Nights is not a social networking site. Psychic Nights, it's what's called, for those of you who aren't in the know about this, it's called a marketing funnel. Michele, you severely underestimated who you're dealing with here. I think you haven't given me credit for... Well, you're about to find out. A marketing funnel is basically a technique of drawing people to a focal point by which you can market to them under the guise of something else. All right? And that's what, it's a storefront. But it's the kind of storefront that you don't realize is a storefront until you're into it too deep. And that's what Psychic Nights is. Because if it was a social networking site, she wouldn't run it like a Nazi concentration camp. I've never had somebody from Facebook say, hey, I want to give you a reading. Okay, no, no, no. Somebody from Facebook says, no, you can't give that person a reading because we don't allow that. Or somebody from Facebook say, you can't go to another site with that person. For those of you who don't know, if you meet someone on Psychic Nights and say, hey, you know what, I really don't like the rules they have here that apply to me giving you a tarot reading or some other kind of reading, I lost featured member status because I suggested going somewhere else with on another site. That's the level of control. Michele, you're a goddamn control freak. That's the problem. And the thing is, if you want, you can't even meet up with someone on Psychic Nights and discover you have something in common, and then on that portal say, let's go elsewhere, or here's where I can go, or let's meet on Skype. And even your private messages are monitored. Now, Facebook doesn't do that. My point being, this is a marketing funnel, and you're monitored to the point to where you will be excommunicated, as I was, if you introduce too many ideas that go against the marketing program. Because she sure as hell is not a spiritualist who was seeking truth, or she would have understood that post and what I was doing. Or maybe you were just angry because I challenged you on the fact that your intuition about my life was wrong, and I had false hope, and now I totally have no respect for you whatsoever. I think you have a lovely personality, I do, and I wish things hadn't happened this way. But you know what? You cross some lines, and now I see a side of you that I think is pretty disgusting. Some other points I wanted to make. Oh, while there are these people complaining about me, and there were a number of people who were in that discussion who appreciated me and what I was doing, I got a message from someone who said, please read my blog. I'd really like your opinion, which blew my mind because, well, I'm getting all these people who are arguing with me, and half of them are saying, we don't like you, take your stuff somewhere else, it just shows a level of ignorance. I mean, it's my discussion group. You came into my group and tell me to take it somewhere else? You didn't have to come here, okay? I didn't drag you here. Now, this person emails me, says, look at my blog, I really want your opinion, and everybody, this person has an issue, and everyone's feeling sorry and beaming light, and, I'm going to beam you energy and light, and I'm not against that. I studied Yin Dao from the descendants of the people who invented it, okay? So, I'm not posturing myself, but there's Rike, which is one thing. Yin Dao is at an entirely different level. So yeah, if you want to beam someone energy and light, go for it. I had a different take. I said, you know what, your problem, I'm not going to feel sorry for you. That's not going to solve anything. And what did I do? I gave that person a lesson on how to empower themselves. And they messaged me back that it felt great and that they really appreciated it. You see, the cycle is, if you want to have a marketing funnel to bring people in, you want to keep them ignorant, you want to keep them needy, you don't want to empower them, because they're not, people who are empowered aren't going to call a psychic, they're not going to buy a Michele Knight product. And I have to wonder if that had something to do with ousting me too. Here all of a sudden, I make a video, here's how you empower yourself. It's very clear to me now that you kicked me off of your site because I was a threat. I was a threat because I wanted to educate people. I wanted to show what real spiritualism is. I wanted to show that there are ways to know what's real and what's imagined or what's fantasy. And nowhere in the site did I used examples like quantum jumping. But if anybody would have come back with me with an intelligent retort, I would have gone into a discussion with them. But people just become outraged. And when I address that issue, my next thing I was going to do is start a discussion about how is it that you become insulted? How is it that we, what is an insult? Somebody makes a statement of truth or fact, and it disagrees with your concept of reality or disagrees with a fantasy you believe. Did that person intend to insult you? I could have spent, I wanted to do a series on that. I really did. I wanted to do a video or two. And, you know,